Hey folks, Jonathan here. Back playing with this 427 engine in the truck a little bit. Did a little bit of checking. The intake does not make up for the length on the distributor, so you still got to use a longer distributor. And I measured down in, and it's probably about a 1/4 inch to 3/8 longer. Not much, but we've got a way of taking care of that. But what I wanted to show everybody is the differences on these HEI distributors. I got 3 GM HEIs right here, all 3 different. And the way that they're different, this would be, let me get them arranged here. Okay, this one's got vacuum advance, but it's also got the wire for the the early style computers. So this would be, you know, late 70s. This one, it has the wire for the computer, no vacuum advance, so through the 80s. And this one is just a common vacuum advance, no wires for the electronics. This would be, you know, mid 70s. So of course this is the one we want to use because we don't want any of the electronics on it. This distributor here, it would accept a vacuum advance, I believe. Yeah, it's got a spot for it. So this distributor can be redone into a, you know, the old style. This one's the same way. Do away with the computer wiring, and it would work fine. So that was the start of computers before you know, they really went to OBD2 or anything like that. So anyway, we're going to get this distributor ready. What we've got to do, this is just a regular small block, big block distributor. What we got to do is machine this off, and we're going to make a locking collar that will slide up here and lock, and that way the distributor hold down will go on it. Now we're going to make it because they sell them, but you know, they want $35, $40 for them, and I'm not going to buy a little collar for that and then have to wait for it. So anyway, what we're going to do is we'll make our collar, we'll slide it up with no gasket, we'll stick it down in until it seats all the way in. We'll slide the collar down, we'll tighten it up, then we'll take it back out and add the gasket to it, and that'll give us our clearance up. So that should work fine. The intake, that is it's for a 4500 series carburetor Holly, but that adapter was made, or is, for swapping it over. So I may end up doing a little work, and I don't have any good Hollies, but I've got a good 850 you know, off of a actually I believe it came off a Buick 455, but it's the bigger one. And we'll probably try to put it on there. And I know a lot of people probably don't like quadrajets. I do like them, and because I built a lot of them over the years. And so anyway, we're going to try to get this thing fired up and see how it runs. I have no doubt it's going to run, and it'll run fine. I just, you know, like I said, I don't know what's in the engine, so we'll have to go from there. The plan. I know I'll get a little heat over this from some, and some will like it, but you know, it's just what I'm going to do. You know, to build a fast car, one easy way of doing it is to take the lightest body you can find and the biggest engine you can find. So the plans for this engine, and maybe the transmission too, is to go into the 59 Triumph. But it's not just you know, pull the 4-cylinder out, slide this down in, and weld some brackets and stuff up. You know, there's more to it than that. What we're going to do is pull the body off, and with it being winter time, especially if it gets like it was for the last, you know, week and a half, 2 weeks, you know, I can't work out here. I can work in the shop. So luckily that frame and all is small enough to get in my shop. So after I do a little cleanup, of course, after building that hot rod for grading, but we're going to roll the frame in there. We're going to do some changing, some reinforcing, some swapping around. We'll get the engine mounted. I've got a rear end here I'm going to narrow up. We're going to put it in. Probably run 14 or 15 inch wide slicks on the back. I'm probably going to go with ladder bars with coilovers, and you know, it may change. We may go with a 4-link or something, but probably just quick and easy. I'm not going to spend any money. That's going to be the difference. You know, there's stuff I'm going to have to buy for sure, but there's a lot of stuff that we can do that's not going to involve spending money. So I'm going to show everyone that you can build a pretty fast car without spending a lot of money. And we'll see if we can get it rolling as quick as we can. It's not going to be a show car. We're not going to worry about, you know, looks and you know, the body or anything like that. We're just going to do what it takes to go ahead and get that thing rolling. But anyway, that's the plans now. Again, we're not going to spend a bunch of money on this thing. You know, I hear all the time on TV shows and stuff, you know, they're going to build something on a budget, and you know, I've said this before. I think it's kind of crazy because, you know, a budget to them is just setting aside $20,000 and building something, and you know, that's not going to happen here. And you know, or they get a bunch of parts donated, and that's not going to happen either. So so what we're going to do is try to use as much OEM stuff as we can. We'll build some stuff, and of course, like I said, I'll have to buy a few things, but I'm going to try not to buy much at all. Rear end sounds a little crazy, but what I'm going to use is a 3/4 ton Dana 60 out of a Dodge. And the reason I'm going with a 3/4 ton, it's a full floating axle. I can do the axles myself without having to buy axles or have them cut down and retreated or anything. I can I'll show you how I'm going to do it. I've done it on cranes and big trucks, you know, out of necessity, not out of just wanting a narrow rear or something, but out of necessity, where I've cut the plates off the ends of the axles and moved the plates and made plates and welded them on, and they've held up on, you know, 20-ton cranes and stuff like that. So if you know, no reason why it won't hold up on this. And so we're going to try to keep everything pretty simple, and you know, we'll, you know, run into all kinds of obstacles along the way, I'm sure, but you know, our main thing is to get it in there. The way this frame on this Herald set up, I've studied the frame pretty hard, and pictures of the frames. I'll walk down here to it real quick and show you a few things. Okay, let me see if we can get the hood open here. And I've messed with the engine a little more. It's stuck. I can't even get it to move any. I mean, you know, a lot of times you'll get it to go back and forth some, but it is totally stuck. We might mess with it a little bit more because I'd love to start it before I pulled it out, but we'll see how that goes. The frame on these, you know, most American cars, when it comes to the firewall, the frames come up. This car don't. This is sort of an underslung axle car, and when I say underslung, I mean the frame is lower than the center point of the axles, and everything's above it. We're going to try to reuse this front end, but of course we're going to be doing a lot of A-frame work, stuff like that, reinforcing. I may box in these upper A-frames, and then again I may rebuild them. We'll see. The geometry on this would be fine, so even if we've got to rebuild some stuff, remake the upper A-frames out of round tubing, and you know, using a different setup for the spindles, you know, this would work out good, and we'll just have to do some reinforcing and changing around on it. But I'm not gonna change a lot on that. I'm gonna try to run the same rack and pinion steering, and you know, we'll go with bigger spindles and hubs and disc brakes on the front, and all OEM stuff. I don't want to buy any aftermarket if I can keep from it. What I was getting at on the frame, you know, the frame turns up out here. Same in the back. After it gets past the rear end, it turns up because it's underslung. The frame is lower than the rear end. So what our plans are, the way this frame comes in, and it comes in narrow on each side of that drive shaft, you can see the tube, and that is the main frame. There's a sort of a secondary that sticks out and comes back and then back in. Well, you know, that's not the way they've got that tied in. It's not going to help with the strength a lot on twisting. So the plan is to come in to this frame right behind where the front mounts and down low, and I'm going to come back with frame connectors to connect the front all the way back to the back straight rails, and that's going to bring these rails in. We're going to leave the rails that are already there, but that's going to bring the rails in probably 12 inches from the original frame, and it'll bring it more down the center about where the seat's at, and that'll give us a place to connect our ladder bars in, and that'll strengthen it all up, keep us from twisting, and we'll try to leave as much of the original X-frame in it, but we're probably going to have to do a little changing in the center to clear for the transmission. The transmission and everything will be mounted above the frame, but I want to be able to get to the pan. We'll have to build something in there to protect the driver, which I guess would be me, from the drive shaft. By the time the engine's in and all, you know, the bell housing is going to be back far, so we'll make sure we build something. I don't need anything coming through a bell housing and taking my legs off. So anyway, and then as we go with that, we'll probably do a little bit of cage work, and you know, I've built some fast cars when I was younger. I've never built anything that was considered a full-out drag car or anything like that, and I'm not really doing it with this. I'm just trying to make a fast car out of stock parts. We're going to, like I said, use as little aftermarket stuff as we can. I'll try to hunt up some used stuff or oddball stuff along the way, but we're going to try to just make this a winter project. And the windshield is busted in this car. I'll probably never find one, but we'll see how that works out. My only real fear about this is the height. I don't want to get, because we're going to be cutting all the way into the firewall. The engine will eventually, you know, be partly under. I don't want to get into the windshield of the windshield frame. So if it comes to it, when we're getting ready to set the body back down on, we'll basically just trim it out, set it down over everything. When we set the body back down on, we may have to raise it just a little bit off of the frame. And steering, you know, it's got a U-joint, and the shaft, I know we're going to have to probably change some stuff around on that. Run it a little different, maybe run it a little lower, but we'll figure that out as we go. But anyway, I'm going to see if this coming weekend and next week I can have this body stripped off and go ahead and have the frame in the shop and go ahead and get to work on it. And we're going to get this other engine started up. And like I said, this will just be a winter project. And we're not going to be cleaning up a lot of stuff or anything like that, so maybe it won't take forever. We'll work on it as hard as we can and try to knock it out as quick as we can. Find somewhere I can take it to play with it, and we'll see how that works out. But don't know how fast it'll be. You know, the main thing is if we can get it to hook and, you know, play around with a little bit with that, I think we can do something with it. And if nothing else, it'll be fun. And I don't plan on killing myself, so don't expect anything too stupid. Well, until I get behind the wheel and then everything changes. But all right. And another thing too, I want to tell everybody this car weighs 1,588 pounds, and when we're done, it'll probably weigh, I don't know, 2,200, 2,500, who knows. It'll be heavier than what it is, a lot heavier, but you know, it's got to be done. So I'm not one to build, you know, light and take a chance. I'd rather build heavy and not worry about it. So, you know, a lot of the things, especially if you're a drag racer or anything like that, a lot of things you see me do will probably be a waste of time or a waste of steel, but that's the way it goes. Another thing too, I read every comment that everybody puts on. I've been doing that on my cell phone, and I don't respond to them. Sometimes when on the laptop I do respond, but I do read everybody's comments. So you know, input on this would be fine. I don't have any problem with that, because you know, I've actually gotten a lot of good ideas off of this, or off of the comments. And if this is something that you know, you don't like or don't want to watch, I got some really good advice for you. Don't watch it. I mean, it's pretty simple. You know, I'm sure I'm going to hear oh, you're tearing up a classic car and all that, but you know, this car, like I said, if I hadn't went and got it, it was never going to go anywhere anyway. I haven't had any people like I usually have get a hold of me and say, hey, you know, I'm really interested in it, stuff like that. The car is pretty daggone rough. You know, an original registration on this car would be so high that it would be more than what the value of the car would ever be. And somebody had sent me a link, one of the subscribers of one of these, and I think he done it through Facebook, was on eBay, and it was a really, really, really nice car and totally restored. They wanted $15,500 for it, or best offer, and totally restored. So, you know, you could sink money in it, no problem. I mean, I don't think it would be, I don't think you could find the parts and do any of the labor and come out with having less than 15.5 in it. So I mean, you know, a person could buy one of these cheaper than they could ever restore this one. So we're just, like I said, we're just going to play with it and see what we can do. Something to do, and something I've wanted to do for a long time, about since I seen this car. And I remember a guy had a Chevette and a 500 Cadillac engine, and he said that it was a fast car. On the track it was a fast car, and you know, a lot of people didn't think much of it, or didn't like the car itself, because it wasn't a high dollar race car, but it was up there running with high dollar race cars. And you know, that kind of made a lot of people mad that had $100,000 in their cars, and you know, he was running a car that he probably had $4,000 or $5,000 in, and if that. And you know, basically that was his motto. You know, biggest OEM engine, or smallest OEM car he could find, and put it in there. Now I don't have a 500 Cadillac, but you know, so we're going to run the 427 and see how it does. So anyway, appreciate everybody's input on stuff, and like I said, don't kick me too hard over this one. Appreciate everybody watching, and till next time, bye.